good evening. This was a blast, this opening. Good evening, everybody, to this one of the events of the Career Summit, the Career Development Summit for Next Gen Leaders. And I am so thrilled to be here. You're hosting this session. I'm honored and thrilled. And my name is Ineke Hurkmans, and I'm the global CEO of Jump Movement. And I'm so grateful to connect to all the people in Bangladesh. And together with Kamrul Hassan, which you obviously know, all of you, we are building Jump Movement Asia, which I'm honored. Today's topic is about sustainability and how did we find it on the planning. It says, the future you choose, climate change and Ecocide, young professionals as change agents. So you guys, you are change agents for the sustainable planet that we have. And the panel discussion that we will be having later on is called Creating Sustainable and Ethical Business for the Planet. And I love to refer to that as sustainability coming from inside out, from awareness leads to action. I'm so happy and honored to introduce to you a few of our guests. And maybe you noticed I'm a lover of glasses, and this one is actually green. So it suits the topic of today's show. I think it's really nice. So when we can, it would be really nice to enter the guests and the keynote speaker of this evening's show. So maybe our team can open and invite the people. First of all, Lorraine JENKS. She's a well-known speaker from South Africa. I had the privilege to talk to her about 10 minutes ago for the first time, and we already had at least 5 laughs, didn't we, Lorraine? So we said, let's make this a fun evening. So Lorraine, I'm so happy that you came, and you are one of the authorities around sustainability. And I know that you have a very cool viewpoint on sustainability, and I'm eagerly waiting for your keynote in about 10 minutes. So then I think it's also very cool that you can introduce yourself a little bit more. Next guest, I think, will be Mr. Aamir Yusufi from Pakistan, living in Malaysia. Hello, Mr. Aamir Yusufi. Can I call you Aamir?
Yeah, you can.
It's so nice to meet you. I have been looking for you on LinkedIn. I couldn't find you, so maybe you can tell me how I can find you. But I'm happy that you're here too on the subject of sustainable choices and sustainability in organizations. And our group, our audience for today, and actually for the whole week, is students and leaders for the next generation, people that are like diving deep into this 7 days of career development summit. And we, the other generation, let's call us that, the other generation, we have the privilege to give them our shoulders where they can stand on, to climb further. So I think it's nice if you could introduce yourself a little bit, Aamir, and then we will give the word to Lorraine, because she's our very honored keynote speaker for this evening. So Aamir, maybe introduce yourself a little bit, and what is it that you have specifically with this topic?
Okay, so my name is Aamir. My native country is Pakistan, but I am based in Malaysia from 7 years. I'm working in the multinational company they called the Linde Group. We are manufacturing industrial gases. And also I am looking for the transport safety. So my most of the time is spending time on the transport safety. And also because, in the sustainability, the vehicle is a big role. Vehicle is always play the big role in the sustainability, how you can reduce the fuel efficiency, increase the fuel efficiency, and you can decrease the fuel what you are burning in the atmosphere, how we can improve all the things on the sustainability. So I have some work over there as well. So thank you very much for inviting me here. And in the evening time, I have just started my podcasting as well. So this is my, you can say, the weekend time. So I'm doing the same things to ask our guests to come here and to share some thoughts and our experiences with the audience. So that's me. It's very small introduction in front of you all hired, learned people.
Thank you, Aamir. Nice to meet you. And I noticed now that our third guest is also here, Mr. Masood Khan, and I would love to welcome him to the show. Well, very welcome, Mr. Masood Khan.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Yeah, it's so nice that you could make it. And I know that you have a limited time, so there will be some point that you have to leave us. But just give us a sign, and then we know that you're not going because it's boring, but you just have other obligations, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So maybe a small
yeah, sorry, come on. Sorry,
can you give us a small introduction on your background and why you're interested in this topic about sustainability?
Okay, so a bit of background about myself. I'm a professional accountant, so I'm a chartered as well as a cost and management accountant. And I spent most of my earlier years in multinational companies. So 20 years in British American Tobacco, 18 years in Lafarge Sulma Cement of Lafarge Holcim Group. And right now, then I spent 2 years as CEO of a large local. Right now, I'm the chief advisor of that group. Apart from that, I'm the chairman of Unilever Consumer Care in Bangladesh. So this is actually the ex-GSK. I was the chairman of GSK before Unilever took it over. I am also actually independent director in 5 companies. So Marico, which is sort of a local MNC Indian company, they make hair oil basically. Then I sit in the board of Berger Paints as well. They are in the paint business. I sit in the board of Singer Bangladesh. Singer actually is in household durables. I sit in the board of a bank also, community bank they call it. And I sit in the board of a very large local RMG and textile company who are very famous for the green factory actually, in fact. So this is a bit about myself actually, in fact. And all the companies that I have worked in the past and also at the present, we do a lot of work in terms of sustainability actually. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you. That's a very long list of activities that you attend to. Very nice. So for you, maybe let me introduce myself a little bit. I'm the global CEO of Jump Movement, which is a method and a way to help create more engagement in teams and organizations towards mission and vision and strategy. And at this moment, we are collaborating with CKH Network big time because we launched Jump Movement Asia and Bangladesh, and in Bangladesh, and Kamrul is the CEO of that branch, and we are working in 4 continents at this moment. And yeah, Kamrul, you just pop in the screen. So for people that don't know you, which is impossible, I think. I always call him the tree shaker. This man, if he shakes the tree, there are fruits falling out. So that's the champion. To me, he's my brother, and he's also the champion in networking. The power that he puts into networking is amazingly, and that's why he could inspire me and all of us, because we are here. It's not that we have nothing to do, but he could inspire us to collaborate and contribute to this summit. And I'm always, my heart always floats over for love for students and young people that want to learn and contribute. And we just had the 2-hour session, the Jump Movement session, with a group of 50 students just today, a few hours back. And I got love declarations on my phone, people saying, I love you, which is amazing. But I always want to invest in youth. And that's why Kamrul is my brother. So Kamrul, please help us to kick it off. And there's a little little video about Augmedix video, because he's one of that's our sponsor and big partner. And maybe you can talk a bit about that. Kamrul Hassan. There you go.
I think, yeah, let's play the video. I think you are hosting it. Absolutely okay. I am just, observer and watching and
কেমন চাকরি চাস?
মাল্টিন্যাশনাল কোম্পানি, ভালো স্যালারি, মাসের 1 তারিখে 2 দিন ছুটি, 2টা বোনাস, দ্রুত প্রমোশন আর সাথে হেলথ ইন্স্যুরেন্স, ভালো খাওয়া দাওয়া, খেলাধুলা আর সাথে জিম, কাজ শেষে বাসায় দিয়ে আসা। আর কি লাগে?
এর জন্য আমার 50,000 বছর আগের কাঁচা ঘুমটা ভাঙালি। অগমেডিক্সে যা, সব পেয়ে যাবি।
Augmedix hiring scribes. ও ভাই, ইংলিশটা একটু ভালো করে দিয়ে যান না।
Fantastic. I'm learning Bangla, as you know. Maybe you know, but I'm learning Bangla. So in a few weeks, I think I can know what they say. Okay, so I think it's time to go to Mrs. Lorraine JENKS, and she is one of the global authorities on sustainability in a number of topics. And we had the privilege to talk a little bit about with her in the last 10 minutes. So it's really short, but she's a renowned speaker, and she is a lady with British humor, and I'm already excited about that because I always like a good laugh. So Lorraine, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself, and for the next half hour we will be hanging on to your words, and after that we will have a panel discussion, or I'd love to prefer to call it a panel dialogue about the subjects, and I'm curious about all of you, so we will be really interactive. So Lorraine, the stage is yours. There you go.
Hello. I just want to say, Kamrul, I am blown away. I just told you earlier, I'm blown away by what you've achieved. This is absolutely phenomenal. These children, my focus is on children and the youth. I am just so enthralled that they're all getting to hear such wonderful presentations. I've been following you, and not in my language, I've been following you on my phone for most of today and yesterday. I'm not going to use my British humor. Some of it's quite risque, so I thought, I don't know these people. I'll hold back just a bit. So my talk's a little more serious, and it is focused at the youth. So it's not focused at the mature academics. I'm trying to win them over and inspire them to change the direction of their careers and do something that's going to make a difference for the future. So thank you for being here. Bangladesh, I looked it up. I've been to 52 countries in my travel days, my hippie days, but never to Bangladesh. So maybe there's an excuse to visit one day. So thank you. Shall I get started?
Go ahead, Lorraine. The floor is yours.
Hope I do this right. There we go. I can't see myself. Am I supposed to have a picture of myself on the screen?
We can still see you. We don't see your slides.
Hello? Kamrul?
Lorraine, can you hear me?
we can hear
See
you.
my slide?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Let me try this one. Can you see that slide?
No, we don't
Not
see
yet.
any slides.
Not yet.
So the IT guy is coming.
Here he is, here he is. Now there, like this. Do it.
No. Application window.
Application. This is so different to Zoom. Now I can choose either, eh?
Yeah. Click and then go share.
Hallelujah. There we go. Can you see that now?
No. Yes.
It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. Finally. Success.
Very good, Lorraine.
I can't see any of you, so I hope you're all smiling.
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right, I'm going to get going. I've got a lot of slides. I'm a Montessori teacher, so I teach because people need to see things, feel, touch, and smell and hear things. Take what you can. This is probably, I've put 4 or 5 workshops into 30 minutes to show you the scope of work that we do. And then grab what you need. You don't need all of it. Just let it flow over you, almost as though it's a movie that you're watching, and you will find what you need. And then if ever you want, I'll come back and elaborate on that with a full masterclass or a workshop. So the future you choose. Climate Change and Ecocide for young professionals, hoping to turn them into change agents. You are the young professionals. You have the power to change the world. You have the power to protect the future. Our future may, in fact, depend on you. We're going into a gunfight with a fly swatter. We're trying to put out a forest fire with a water pistol. And this is what is on the news. Drought, the worst in 1,200 years. Flooding in Ethiopia, the hottest day ever recorded in the Arctic Circle. Dust clouds in the Sahara. These are recent news items that I've pulled off. Starving polar bears. The locusts are back in Africa. And in Russia, the warmest 6 months since records began. All these are the worst and the greatest and the longest and the coldest and the hottest. And the highest human in history, 417, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So what we hope to do, I had a look at the mission of Kormo. So we're going to look for a better Bangladesh, give you some practical skills, transform yourself in your community, and hopefully empower the young people who are watching this. The program, very briefly, I'm going to cover where, we're talking about Bangladesh, when. I'm going to tell you when all this started, because you're going to need patience and you're going to need resilience. We're going to look at why we're doing this, climate change, ecocide, and the coronavirus. We're going to say who is going to do anything, and it's going to be the young professionals. And then what I will do to close is to tell you how to make better choices. It's really so easy. People make it so complicated. It's actually really easy. I'll end off with some wonderful careers that I actually found yesterday for things that people haven't thought of to follow and to survive and thrive in the new normal. I don't call it the new normal. I think it's actually the new abnormal. And then I'll give you a takeaway, some inspiration for all the young students and the young professionals to start or carry on with their green journey. I had to look up Bangladesh in Wikipedia. Horrified. I mean, I do know they have problems, but you're less than 12 meters above sea level. 10% will be flooded if the sea rises. The wetlands are critically important worldwide. Floods and cyclones, tidal bores I've never heard of, deforestation, soil degradation and erosion. And cyclones in 70 and 91 killed 140,000 people. And then sadly, on Wikipedia, it said one of the countries most vulnerable to climate change. Your greatest hazards are 3 feet rise of the sea by 2050, 20% of the land will be inundated, and 30 million people will be displaced. That's very bad news. That terrible flood that you had caused by high monsoon rains, meltwater in the Himalayas. I did an overland trip to Tibet before they had the train. And the young man that was taking us through warned about the floods because of the Chinese chopping down the forests up in Tibet. And as we said, deforestation. So when this all started, this is what you must listen and this is what you must hold. Never, ever give up. I grew up on a very ordinary farm here in South Africa. We didn't have running water. We had a long drop toilet. We didn't have electricity. And we had never seen plastic. When I finished school and did my teaching degree, I took a gap year and I went to London, and then I went to Canada, and then I ended up in California in 1970 in the middle of the hippie era. And I worked for the Environmental Protection Agency, which had just been launched. This, people, was 50 years ago. 50 years ago, we knew that Africa, Southern Africa, one of the best places for solar, still waiting. Very, very frustrating. We marched against Vietnam, we marched for women's rights, we marched for equality, we marched for the environment, and we got arrested. Some people even got shot. I came back to South Africa, and instead of teaching, somehow the universe puts you in strange places. I ended up doing all the contracts and all the items, the products in the purchasing manual for 82 hotels, for the biggest hotel chain in Africa. hated it. 15 very, very long years, but I needed to educate 2 kids on my own. So everything in my purchasing manual, I made it my mission to find a greener version of absolutely every product used in a hotel. Our first big project was the convention center, the first green project. That was in the year 2000, way ahead of its time. And I did a recycling project for the managers. They didn't know what it was. There were no recycle bins. People didn't know what recycling was. An enormous success. I saved them thousands of South African rand. I reduced the waste by 80%. I sent my report upstairs to the executives at the top floor with pictures and statistics and photographs and interviews of all the people that had helped me. And nobody took a blind bit of notice because I'm a girl. So I left. I left in a huff. And I tell you, that anger gives me the energy I've got. I'm 77 now. I have so much energy and such a positive attitude. All that negative energy I focus into my work. Then after I'd left, now I've left the group, they started calling me back and saying, what is green? What are you talking about? And I'd say, you know, chaps, I've been telling you for 15 years. And I would stand there like a teacher trying to explain what going green was. And it dawned on me, these were hoteliers. They needed to see, touch, and feel what I was talking about. And in a moment of absolute madness, I actually had put a directory, online directory, like a yellow pages of all the products I worked with, to share with the industry. This was also way ahead of its time. It was the first in the world, free. We don't sell anything. It's just an information portal. And I asked the people, hotel staff listed everything in my purchasing manual. Greenpeace, I pulled across any of the products that I thought were the greenest I could find. Nothing is 100% green. And we asked the people there to furnish projects for us at the big exhibitions in South Africa. So we did a hotel furnished from front to back with only eco-friendly products. And lots of other people asked us to do the same, even the BBC Lifestyle Grand Designs program. From the front door, every appliance, furniture, paint, cleaning chemicals, food and beverage, bedding, appliances, everything in the house, to prove you could do it all as green as possible. This is what they look like, 5 rooms in most of them. And inside, for example, completely green kitchen with FSC wood, bamboo, hemp. All the bedding on that bed was no synthetics anywhere, no plastic anywhere, unless it was recyclable plastic. Began consulting, which I absolutely love. And the problem is there are so many certificates. If any of you are going to go into tourism, be careful what you choose. Some of them only look at energy, some of them only look at organic food. And then I was the chief judge for our local, the grading awards. And there's one that is for green properties, and I was the chief judge for that. And we set a lot of new standards and new criteria. So the tips we give for a hotel, this applies, of course, it's not only hotels now, it's hospitals, homes, schools, office buildings, anything for going green. Stand back, look at the whole property and see where you can cut back on your energy, your water, and mostly how you're managing your waste. And then what we would do is either a virtual or physical walkabout, walk through each room and stand back and look and say, no finger pointing, no saying you're a bad guy. When you replace the carpeting, or when you paint again, or when you get new appliances, stop and think. There might be a better way of doing it than the way you've been doing it up to date. And we'll go right through the hotels, through to the recycle bins at the back. And 18 awards since I turned 70. In the last 7 years, I can't believe it's actually 20 awards. I've just won an award for engineers in America. I'm not an engineer. I don't even know what it's for. It could only be for those properties that we furnished. Wonderful. It's almost like I'm talking about somebody else. It was never part of the plan. None of this was actually part of the plan. What are we here for? We're going to talk about climate change, Ecocide, and I'm quickly adding a bit about COVID. Stop and think for a minute. What frightens you the most? What frightens you the most about the future and for your children one day? Some of these things. It's the 4th Industrial Revolution. That doesn't frighten me. The 6th mass extinction breaks my heart. My son's quite nervous about artificial intelligence. He's a physicist. And climate, terrifying. Ecocide, equally bad, and in tandem with climate change. And this new little bug that's giving us such a hard time. And the worst of all, to me, the most frightening thing you will never guess, or maybe you will, are these two people. Trump, who 3 days ago rolled back 100 environmental protection bills that Obama and other people had put in place, some of them that we worked on 50 years ago when I lived in California, and Bolsonaro, who is just systematically destroying the Amazon jungle. We'll start at these three. Start with climate change. I trained with Al Gore. I believe he ran training in Bangladesh, you lucky people. He's actually training worldwide digitally as we speak over these next 4 days. Wonderful training for those who did it. Hard work, but really, I mean, this man is just incredible. I wish he'd become president. And he would explain to it, I'm sure a lot of you know, but if you don't, I often have to speak to people who never studied geography, is the sun beats down on the earth, it warms up the planet, we use what we need to keep the balance just dead right, and then what we don't need bounces out again. So the heat escapes out of our atmosphere into space. What's happened now, the greenhouse gases are creating a blanket around the earth, and that heat can't get out. It's bouncing up and down, and slowly warming the planet. Almost like a hothouse. And the gases are mostly carbon dioxide and methane, which is even worse than the others. So this is the proof that we've got when people say there's no proof. 400,000 years ago, carbon dioxide was up, down, and suddenly, since the industrial era, it has shot up more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than ever before, since humans have been around. 700,000 years ago, global warming, it's been getting hot and cold, and suddenly, since around about 1860, it's getting hot much more often than it's getting cold. And it's still getting hot and cold. When people stand in America and throw snowballs around, they don't look at this. It still gets cold. The thing is, it's moving towards being hot more often than being cold. The causes of climate change: deforestation, burning of fossil fuels, oil, homes, keeping homes, offices, factories warm. We only recently realized just how damaging agriculture is, mostly for meat and soy. The terrible way we treat our agriculture, and the impacts of climate change, which we are feeling already. If you know Cape Town, Table Mountain will be an island one of these days when the ocean rises. Australia had to create new colors for the heat. Oh, terrible storms, drought. We haven't begun to see migration from famine, floods, water wars, and insects are moving. Insects, all the diseases, all the vectors are moving into new areas. That terrible picture there is a thing that lays its eggs, a fly, under your skin. We've never seen it in South Africa, only in Zimbabwe. It's moved. You get it here now. This was a couple of days ago. The National Ocean and Atmospheric Association does weekly assessments. Pre-industrial parts of CO2 per million, which was 280. 10 years ago, it was 390. 1 year ago, it was 412. And this year, it's already at 415, even with lockdown. The safe level is 350 parts per million. 450, which is where we will be sooner than we think, will be extreme weather events. And if the temperature goes up by 2 degrees or more, it will be catastrophic and irreversible. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change do reports every year. They've done them for 16 years, and scientists by nature hold back. They want to be right, so they don't exaggerate. But 18 months ago, they decided to actually tell it like it is, and the world went into a panic. Thousands of scientists, so many thousands of papers, and they had told us that by 2030, we have to reduce our carbon emissions by 50%. And by 2050, we have to be at zero greenhouse gas emissions. That is a hard task, and we've just got to do it. You cannot talk about climate change without talking about ecocide. I have spoken about both all along because they go hand in hand. Ecocide is the destruction of our home. Eco means life, and side means to kill, caused by capitalism and the growth for the sake of growth. is the ideology of a cancer cell. We're actually committing suicide. We cannot have this 2% economic growth annually. We just can't do it because the planet just can't cope and keep up. Because if all the countries want to be westernized, we will need 5 planets within the next 50 years to supply the resources that we're using at the moment. And this is what Ecocide does. Pollution, overfishing, terrible filth in the rivers. One soccer field every 2 seconds is destroyed. And of course, the biosphere has been completely ruined and out of balance. And this is my saddest slide. This slide keeps me awake at night. That machine just pulled that orangutan, pushed him off that log. And these animals, between 1970 and 2018, there was a 60% decline. They're not going to come back. So rather than man be at the top of the pinnacle and just using, we must look as life on the planet as circular. Everything is connected to everything else. You destroy the bees, you destroy the food that we eat. And the sprays that we're using at the moment from Roundup, for example, are doing exactly that. Quickly about COVID, I think this is the dress rehearsal for climate change. We are being taught, we're actually being smacked on the hand by nature and said, now go to your room and listen to me and you behave or else. This is exactly a rehearsal because it's coming, just slower. And then I had a look at the parallels between the two. Quite remarkable, actually. Both of them gave us advanced warning. For neither did we listen properly. They're denialists for both, saying this doesn't exist. Both disregard wildlife. Both have conspiracy theories in abundance. It's created a them and us. And both are saying the cure is worse than the problem without trying to understand what the cure is doing. The differences are the speed. The virus arrived really quickly and sorry, I have to switch that off. And of course, climate change is much slower. The duration is different. The virus is quick. We're going to be affected slowly by climate change. The political response, the time of that was different. Clear strategies. We had a clear strategy for the virus. We know what to do. We need a vaccine. Boom, finished, QED. Climate change, they're still arguing. And the severity of the mitigation, the severity of how we have to try and stop is very different. We won't get back to normal because normal was actually the problem. So who? The power in you. The power is in you. I'm going to go through your challenges and your areas of influence. You, the young professionals, have enormous power. How are you going to do this? You're going to make better choices. There's no right and wrong. There's just a better way. Nothing is perfect, but for everything, there is a better choice. So what is going green? People usually look at a carbon audit. They look at energy number 1, because that was the first definition of green. And you look at the water usage and the waste management. But you know, that's a traditional carbon audit for a new building. Everything else, we've got to look at everything else because everything you do every day impacts on the environment. The furniture, the food, the toiletries, the capital expenditure, operating, all of that must also be looked at. You won't get it right. Just do the absolute best you can. Or, like me, we'll wait another 50 years. That's why I didn't wait anymore. I couldn't find 100% green. I went ahead with the best I could find. The circular economy is a whole workshop on its own, but very simplistically, you take stuff out of the ground or wherever you get it from, you use it and you throw it away. Then we have recycling, where you take it out the ground, you turn it into something else once or twice, and then you throw it away. The circular economy, hopefully, you take something from its resource and you use it and it stays in that cycle and doesn't end up in landfill, in rivers, or in the sea. Green procurement, I specialize in green procurement. Most of my workshops are around this and my master classes. What we do is we look at what we call a life cycle analysis. A lot of you will know this, a lot of the young people won't know this. So anything you do, not only the things you buy, anything you do, stand back. Look where it came from. What did it do? Where it was extracted? Did it destroy a forest? Did it poison the soil? Did it abuse the indigenous people? Did it leave a mess? Then look at how it's manufactured. Did they use slave labor? Did it pollute while it was being manufactured? Then look at its transport. How is it transport? Is there a better way to transport it? Look at the packaging and the distribution. What is the packaging made of? And how is it distributed? Then during its use, does it pollute again? Does it cause allergies? And then very importantly, how do you get rid of it? Does it get thrown out or does it go back into that cycle again? And then very often, I'm not talking to people like you. I'm talking to people who at college and university now and some qualified, highly qualified business people. I'm often talking to unsophisticated people who didn't finish schooling, and I've got to get through to them. So what I say is, pretend you're holding the hand of a small child, and he wants to know where something comes from. He wants to know where your new cell phone comes from or his T-shirt comes from. And you're going to have to explain to him, and it's going to be quite difficult. He's going to say to you, when you explain where the raw materials come from, he's going to talk about these children in the mines in the Congo. He's going to say, but why is that orangutan tied up? And why is that man crying, Daddy? And where's all that man's water gone? And then he's going to say, where are all the butterflies? And you're going to say, Roundup killed them for all the genetically modified farms. And then he's going to talk about the children that work and the cruelty to the animals. And then he's going to say to you, what's in that boat, Dad? And you're going to say live animals. And he's going to say, but we've all got what we need. Why are we shipping wild animals around the world? And all that packaging. And he's going to say that pizza traveled 80,000 kilometers, 80,000, because the cheese came from France and the tomatoes came from Spain and so on. Then he's going to say during its use, he's going to say, Granny said they didn't all get fat like we do and they weren't allergic like we were. And I have been told that many of our cosmetics haven't been tested for many, many decades for toxicity. And finally, he's going to say, gee whiz, Dad, you knew. When you bought these things, you knew where they were going to end up. And you still went ahead and you bought them. So what we do now, we use what we call a supply evaluation. This I'll send to you if you want. This is all done automatically. There's some wonderful tools on the internet. Just search for them to help you choose a product, because how are you going to know which is the greenest product? This is a professional template when you do the procurement and supply chain management courses. So you look at you're going to evaluate 3 different suppliers. So you look at what's important to you: quality, delivery, price, and packaging. And it'll change because somebody out in the country will have things that are more important than somebody in the city. So you do supply number 1, put in whatever they've told you. Supply number 2, supply number 3. It'll do all this this wonderful template for you, and it will show you which of those 3 suppliers is the most compliant to your specific standards and credentials. Very good for choosing a husband, girls. Drop me an email. Now what you do, you use that same evaluation for the environmental credentials of a product, and you add a new line at the bottom to get your results done for you without any bias, because you don't know which supplier is which number. This I discovered yesterday. This to me is just absolutely amazing. Make a note of it. It's from the World Wildlife Fund, from their website, and they've had a look at careers you haven't even thought of for the new normal that's coming, and with our focus today in this talk for climate change. Conservation, read those. I'm not going to try and read them all to you. I mean, things you haven't thought of if you want to go, if you're interested in conservation, things like obviously being a vet, an ecologist, a curator, a biologist. For forestry, bioengineering. You could even be a tree feller operator, logging plant operator, and make a difference. The point is, in all these positions, you can make a difference. Climate change, all these careers in climate change: astronomer, meteorologist, water, plumber, treatment plant operator, quality analyst, inspector. Oceans and coasts, fascinating work. A biologist, an engineer, safety officer, scientist. Farming and food. Oh, we have to change the way we farm, and it's so easy. I work with the United Nations in a group called Slow Food International, and they have discovered or worked out or researched that Africa can feed itself if we would just leave it to the small-scale farmers and get these big mega industrial companies to go away. The cities, stand back and look at your city. Is there enough shade? Can the water run off and seep through, or is it just washing off the top of cement floors, roads and pavements. Waste management, huge. Oh, you know, I've got a whole theory about plastic waste. I think it's an absolute scam. I think they're insulting our intelligence, saying you can recycle plastic. It never goes away. Energy, fascinating, a whole new world. There's a whole career in energy, all these different aspects that are so important. Waste, how did waste come twice? And then when you start working, get into a division or department where you have influence, where you can be an influencer. In fact, sometimes when I did my consulting, it's quite a lowly person who is passionate about the environment and what that company, say, a big hotel, is doing, and then he will escalate his passion up to the decision makers. So if you're in CSR, corporate responsible, social responsibility, you need to measure to see if you're making a difference. You need to audit and you need to report. And these are wonderful online programs that you can just log on to, and the work is done for you. Support these people. They do incredible. Tree hugger, look at tree hugger. If you want to know the green credentials of something, just look it up. Look up carpeting under tree hugger. Look up paint under tree hugger. And support them, give them money. Most of them work without funding. Sign these petitions. Sorry, these were landscape slides that I slotted in here. Petitions work. We've changed an incredible amount of things by signing petitions. They do work, especially of ours. Change.org is also very powerful. And especially in your region, you have some absolutely amazing maps. Look up these United Nations Environmental Programmers. Maps about the weather, what's coming, what's been, what they're predicting for the far future, what they're predicting for the near future, and what's going to happen in the next week. Fascinating, absolutely so well done. And then climate change is here. This is what Africa, especially the tourism industry in Africa, has not woken up to. We have to adapt or die. To show you that it's here, when people say it hasn't happened, it's here. My daughter was in Paris a year or so ago. It was so hot that there was an app on your phone that as you were sightseeing, it would just say, time for you to find a cooler place. And then you would go. It'd say there's a library on your left or the supermarket around the corner, and then it would say, okay, you've rested for 20 minutes, you can carry on. They spent their holiday in Paris finding fountains to dip their little baby in. The Bahamas. This is just recently in Cape Town. I was there. We were stuck in our hotel for 2 days and 2 nights because you could not walk. The wind blew you over. You could not drive. The aeroplanes couldn't take off. People came off the street into our hotel, and the hotel had to feed them, give them water and somewhere to sleep. That very same night, stuck in my room watching this terrible weather outside, my friend phoned me from her village along the coast to say, her house was burning down. The whole forest was on fire. And she had to escape through these flames to pick up a lady with a parrot and 2 dogs. And then just recently in Cape Town. Cape Town is a big, beautiful, modern city. No water. No water. These people are collecting water from a spring that comes off the mountain. Mozambique had the most appalling weather. And New York had this blizzard again where you were told not to leave your hotel. Here the water has risen so much you cannot insure these coastal properties. In fact, you cannot sell them or give them away. So if you own something at the coast, get rid of it. Tips for climate chaos. This is what you need to do, and this is what all people in the tourism industry and anybody in the marketing industry needs to start thinking about. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. Prepare your town. Have a look at your town. Go through the list. Google it. See what they're doing. This is what they're doing in LA. They're painting the streets white to cool them down. Look at the hotel you're staying in. Prepare your factory. Look at your supply chain. You might have a herb that comes on the Amazon. Do you know where to get it when Bolsonaro burns it down? We have to start doing regenerative farming. It is the way we're farming now is just killing the planet. Get your pantry done. Have a look at it. Emergency survival kit for indoors. If you're stuck indoors, there's a separate one for if you have to leave. And plant food everywhere. These are the foods that will survive climate change in South Africa. Have a look. You've got to start cultivating the foods that are going to survive because a lot of them aren't. The choices. When you leave here, you will have a choice. Stand back and look. Go the old way. Go the better way. You can't use my website because they're South African, but get some tips from the Green Stuff one. See what we've done and what we consider green. And call me. Call me and we will run a workshop for you. We've done so many all over. In fact, I've done in China, Singapore, Istanbul, Kenya, Ghana, all over the place. And the takeaway for the young people watching us tonight is this is what they tell us to do. Ride a bicycle, put in LED lights, go vegan, put in solar. But you know what? It's not enough. This is what they must do. This is what you're going to do from now on. You are going to nag the politicians and the big corporates. They must start increasing the carbon tax. The guys that pollute, not everybody, the guys that pollute. They must implement renewable energy, regenerative agriculture, as I said, reforestation, carbon capture, and they can do all of these, and they must do all of these. Solar geoengineering, but sort of science fiction-y at the moment, but it will come. But this is what we can do when you leave here. People always say, what can I do? You can do these things. Reduce your fossil fuels, watch the water, stop eating so much meat. I think you people don't eat quite so much. Palm oil is too terrible. Don't trust certificates unless you've checked them out yourself. Just refuse plastic. Just say, I don't want it. Agriculture. Then sign the petitions, like I said, and then follow these wonderful people and sponsor them. Boycott. We boycotted a product recently, and the manufacturers actually changed the recipe. And, of course, vote when you can. Mobilize, organize, petition, boycott. People here, I'm telling you, we started this 50 years ago. They do listen. People are saying Al Gore. Al Gore says people are rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. And we are headed for a Great Depression worse than the Great Depression. Do you know what turned the Great Depression around? World War II. You know why? Because people had a common purpose. People stuck together and they mobilized to fight this common threat. That is absolutely what we're going to have to do to save the planet and save ourselves. Be disruptive. You know, all these people, Gandhi, the women, even Mandela, they were all nice for a long time. And then one day they said, you know what? We're not going to be so nice anymore. This little girl will go down in history. She is absolutely remarkable. She's autistic Asperger's. So never criticize her until you've met a child. They focus. They don't hear the noise. She's not mentally ill. She is highly, highly gifted. March with these people. It's fun. And the most important thing you will learn today from me is speak to the old folk. They know stuff. Ask them what is the worst natural disaster they can remember and then prepare for that. Speak up. My daughter asked one of the top chocolate companies where they get their palm oil from, and they couldn't tell her. They said they only use a little. Tons of chocolate and they only use a little. So speak up. These are the people you need to care about. Because your customers are watching you. Your shareholders are watching you. Your community is watching you. You are our future. The animals are watching you. Nature is watching you. And most important of all, your food is watching you. And most important of all is the children are watching you. And the children are going to say one day, you knew. What did you do? Thank you.
Oh, wow. I'm going to give you an applause. Lorraine, you are an absolute authority. I was like both inconveniently confronted with the truth, and at the same time you give so much hope for bettering this, for giving tips and advices on how we could. I mean, you do it in one sentence. You are phenomenal. For me, you are phenomenal. I will never forget you. This is actually one of the best keynotes that I have seen in years, because you just nail the truth, and I think it's inconvenient because you're not blunt about it. You're just straightforward, And I love it so much. You touched my heart, and you also touched a nerve. So that's good. I think that's really good. We have some time for this. I did not stop you because I couldn't. No, I couldn't. No, because I think you can talk for hours. You already said it. And I took some notes. But yeah, I'm touched. You said the new abnormal. The new normal is not existing. It's the new abnormal. I like that phrase. I loved it a lot. You're a farm girl just like me, and raised on a farm, we learn to live with nothing. Actually, that's what I learned. Now, our other guests in this panel, I'm so curious on their first reaction on your keynote. So can I ask Masood, what is your first reaction? And while you talk, I have to move my computer because I just noticed that my battery is low. So please, Masood, what is your first reaction on this keynote of Lorraine's?
I'm speechless.
Speechless.
What can I say after this selection, in fact? I'm saying I'm totally speechless.
I think we must unmute. I can't hear you. I'm going to unmute because there's other.
Can you hear me?
Lorraine, can you hear Masood? Can you hear us? Lorraine is muted now.
All right. Anyway, as I was saying that what she has said, is absolutely astounding. Actually, is an eye opener for all of us, of course, for sure. So, since I have to say my bit as well, actually, in fact, I'll try to add in and chip in a bit more in terms of what we are looking for from the industrial point of view. Okay, and because the topic today is sustainability, we know the 3 pillars of sustainability are planet, people, and profits. So what Lorraine has done wonderfully is to explain what planet is all about, actually, in fact. And for people who have seen the BBC program of Planet Earth, we know exactly what is happening to our planet today. We know the disaster that we are facing today in terms of what we are seeing for the future. It is an unmitigated disaster as we see it, actually. The examples of below what is happening in the oceans today, the examples of what is happening in the rainforest today, for example, the Amazon basin, we all know it. And we also know what is happening to the rainforests in Indonesia. 94% of the rainforests have disappeared. Why? Simply because of palm cultivation. The huge amount of biodiversity that is going out, and this is definitely causing all this climate change. So Lorraine has touched it wonderfully. I'm not going to add anything there. I'm just going to add the other 2 pillars in terms of people and profits. Just these 2 points, actually. A lot on the people part, actually, and some on the profits. And also, as far as the first part is concerned, which is the planet itself, I'm going to touch on that from the industrial perspective and some practical examples of what we have been doing in the past, especially for companies that I've been involved in, and what we are doing today, as a matter of fact. So I'll start from the first company, British American Tobacco, a notorious company, because tobacco companies are notorious. They are famous because they are notorious, actually, in fact, right? In Bangladesh, a very interesting part I must tell you, that tobacco companies actually are blamed for cutting a lot of trees, because when they cure the tobacco, they use a lot of trees. So the place where BAT was doing its cultivation in Bangladesh is a place called Kushtia in the northern part of Bangladesh. I'm talking about 1980s. At that time, this area was turning into a desert. It was a semi-desert, actually, in fact. What BAT thought was something very fantastic. Bangladesh is today, in terms of forest cover, is around 17%, which is very, very small, as you know, of course, compared to the other standards. BAT actually coined this very innovative approach of having homestead forest. They started encouraging people that please grow your own trees. And if you go to Kushtia today, that place is absolutely green. Why? Because people found that there's a commercial use of these trees as well. It is very commercially viable. And if you go to Kushtia today, you'll find that this plain is absolutely green now. Till date, this company has actually distributed 105 million saplings. The biggest afforestation in Bangladesh today by this company, this notorious company, British American Tobacco. Example 1. Example 2, my ex-company, Lafarge Holcim, another notorious people. Why? Because cement people are notorious for carbon dioxide emissions. We all know that absolutely, in fact. Now, this company that in Bangladesh that is there in this cement company is a very unique company. It is one of its kind in the world. You will not get a company like this in anywhere in the world. Why? Because cement needs limestone. And the limestone actually is in India, which is another country. The cement plant is in Bangladesh. And the way to bring this limestone from India to Bangladesh is by a long belt conveyor, the longest in the world, 17 kilometers from India to Bangladesh. Two very remote locations. In Bangladesh part, the cement plant is in the border of India, Bangladesh, cut off by river. You can't cross the river. There's no bridge actually, in fact. On the other side where the cement plant was made, there was nothing there absolutely. Absolutely nothing, zilch. So what happened was that the company acquired 100 acres of land, displaced a lot of people. But what the company did was that they made a study of each and every household who were impacted by this displacement. They paid for the land more than twice of the market value. They made houses for them because they sold this land and they went interior. They could sell it, they could buy it one fourth of the cost. The company made houses for them. The company made sure that every one of these households were trained for income generating activities. And they measured the level of income before and after, and they found that everyone was earning much more than what they were earning before. Today, if you go to that place is buzzing with activities. Shops have come up, houses have come up, people are now having a very decent income, and communities are finding a lot of work from this company as well. This long belt conveyor, 17 kilometers long, on both sides the communities were affected. Everybody was given employment, and they were told that please look after the long belt conveyor. That's your job. We'll pay you for that. The Indian part, which is very interesting, it is also in the middle of nowhere. I call it actually Shangri-La. It is nowhere absolutely. The quarry actually, in fact. So the people there were very poor actually, in fact. So today, if you go there, it is a total different change because the amount of money they got, it is millions of dollars. The royalty that's being paid now. So they have got Medicare, they have got hospitals, they've got schools, they've got football stadiums, they've got everything that you can ask for actually, in fact. Totally different place altogether. Two companies I've talked about. Now I come to my present companies. I'm the chairman of GSK Bangladesh. GSK is a pharmaceutical company. We all know that, of course. What GSK has done in Bangladesh is something phenomenal. I'll give you some examples of what GSK has done in the past few years. First thing is that GSK is reinvesting 20% of its profits for CSR. Point number one. Point number two, what GSK has done in Bangladesh is a flagship program. The flagship program is actually a public-private partnership, PPP we call it, private-public partnership. So we teamed up with Ministry of Health and Family Planning. We teamed up with CARE, C-A-R-E, CARE. You all know CARE actually, in fact. We teamed up with them. What we found was that in Bangladesh, in the northeast part of Bangladesh, there are some areas called howars. Howars are actually natural reservoirs. All the rains from India, they come down to Bangladesh, to these plains, and you've got huge lakes where there's a lot of natural, planktons and fishes and everything there actually, in fact. But very remote area. We found that in that place, the prenatal and the postnatal care was absolutely abysmal. The mortality rate of people, female dying, and the mortality rate of kids dying was twice that in other parts of Bangladesh. So what we did was that we trained up local communities for nursing, actually, in fact. There was a full 6 months training given to these people. And after the training was completed, the training was given in terms of community-based integrated management of childhood illness, family planning, eye screening, non-communicable diseases, nutrition, and also laboratory test and social entrepreneurship training. In terms of numbers, I'll just give you 1 or 2 numbers. We had more than 200,000 pregnancies identified and registered. We had more than 600,000 antenatal care and more than 300,000 postnatal care. We had more than 250,000 essential newborn care. We had more than 200,000 IMCI, the Integrated Management of Childhood Illness. This is phenomenal, absolutely. This was actually showcased in Asia also as one of the success stories of what a company can do in terms of CSR. 2 other flagship things that we did was in terms of the ready-made garment industries in Bangladesh. This is a big industry, as we all know, the biggest industry in Bangladesh. So we found that as far as healthcare is concerned, it is in a very, very shabby state so far as RMG is concerned. So we actually teamed up with some of these factories to make sure that they get better access to healthcare, actually, and also training them in terms of health awareness. And so far, we have touched almost 100,000 beneficiaries in this scheme as well, actually, in fact. And a lot of people have been benefited also through this process. This is as far as GSK is concerned. The other company, Marico, has done some astounding work as well. Marico is actually an Indian multinational company, but they make hair care, hair grooming, basically, products. 2 things they did actually in terms of CSR. One is a program called Marico Shopno program. Shopno is dream, actually, in fact. So what we did was that actually, we went to 2 areas of Bangladesh, very remote areas. One is the coastal belt of Satkhira, they call it, very poor, very poverty-stricken. And the other one is Kurigram. Kurigram is possibly one of the poorest parts of Bangladesh, actually, in fact. What we did was very simple. We targeted, actually, women. We targeted women. So all those women who actually were the head of the family, they had no other source of income. Now, absolutely no income. They were the heads of it. We trained them for skill development. We gave them some finance and skill development in the areas of farming, in terms of fish and crab culture, in terms of handicrafts, artifact making, tailoring, for example, let's say, small businesses, poultry, drug farming, and livestock. Livestock is very popular in Bangladesh today. They make a lot of money in terms of livestock. This changed the entire livelihood of these people. Another flagship program that we call it is Marico Odommo program. Odommo is also an NGO. This is actually looking after students who have got speech or hearing disabilities. We trained these people we trained them, and we teamed up with some corporates. Like, for example, we teamed up with Bcash, which is a big corporate. We trained up with Brack Bank, which is a big corporate, and Apex Footwear. What we trained was that, guys, we are training these people for you. Please employ them in those areas which are non-critical for you. For example, customer care is non-critical for you. Packaging is non-critical for you. Other areas of the factory which is not critical for you, please employ them. And right now, they're getting employment in these companies, actually, in fact. So these are some of the flagship things that we did. One more important point is in terms of the third part, before the second part, the first part, my apologies, in terms of climate. All these companies that I'm talking about, we very closely monitor a few issues. One is the water quality, and one is the use of water. One is the use of energy. One is the use of power. One is the air quality. These things we rigorously monitor, and we are about to also go for GRI reporting as well in Bangladesh. Okay, this is the planet part, actually, in fact. I'll just come to the last part, which is the profit part. On the profit part, it's very important to understand that companies must make profit, but these profits have to be done sustainably. When we say sustainably, we are talking about all the things we have talked today, actually, in fact. And we're also talking about a concept called corporate governance. Because unless you have proper covered corporate governance, unless you have transparency, unless you have a situation where all the stakeholders are protected, i.e. the minority shareholders, the majority shareholders, the CEO, the employees, the government, the communities, everybody is protected, you can't have sustainable profits. This is actually CSR, and the third very important pillar we call it. And in all these companies, we emphasize a lot on terms of corporate governance, which to my mind is a very important pillar in terms of sustainability. Finally, before I conclude, my current company, because my current company is actually owned by Unilever, and we all know what Unilever is actually in fact, I was just going through their sustainable practices, and I was really very, very impressed in terms of the targets they have taken in the year 2008 and what they will do by the year 2030. So just a few points which I'm sure we all know, but I'd just like to touch to understand that, and exactly the points that Lorraine was trying to cover. In fact, Unilever has actually tried to cover all these issues, including the point about circular economy, the point that she was trying to mention actually, in fact. First one, in terms of health and hygiene. In 2008, they said that reduce diarrheal and respiratory disease through hand washing. Point number one. Point number two, provide safe drinking water, which is a huge issue in Bangladesh. Improve access to sanitation. Improve oral health, and improve skin healing. More importantly, what they said was that whatever products we sell, we must ensure that they have got the nutritional value. So they have got a target that by 2030, every product have to meet the highest standard nutrition. By 2019, 60% of the products are meeting the highest standards of nutrition standards, actually, in fact. Second one, greenhouse gases, CO2 emission. They have got right now, for example, they've got a target. They will reduce the level they had in 2008, despite the fact that production is going up about 3 to 4 times, but they will reduce this target actually by this number. In terms of becoming carbon positive, they are saying that we will source all energy renewably. We will have grid connection electricity, which is renewable electricity. Eliminate, let's say, in terms of coal. So coal has to be eliminated because that is the biggest emission guzzler actually. Make surplus energy available for community, and 50% reduction water compared to 2008 levels. In terms of waste from manufacturing, they are saying that we will ensure zero non-hazardous waste to landfill. Reuse, recycle, compost plastic packaging, and reduce packaging. Recycle packaging. So recycle means, first of all, increase recycle and recovery rates, increase recycled content, and eliminate PVC, and reduce office waste as well. And last but not the least, in terms of people, they are saying a few issues. The first one is the gender diversity and making inclusive for all the people who are, let's say, impaired. And the point that Lorraine was mentioning, sustainable procurement, very important. Because until your procurement providers are giving sustainable products, how can you be sustainable actually, in fact? And they also have got a target to improve the livelihood of farmers and all the retailers. They want to touch almost 1 billion farmers and almost 2 billion retailers all over the globe, actually, in fact. So in short, what I'm trying to say is that a lot of work is being done, but not enough. I think we have, as Lorraine correctly said, that we are still looking at a disaster-prone world, actually, in fact, and like she's saying that we're just using a water cannon to light up the forest fires. So a lot needs to be done, and the corporates have to be in the forefront because they have the financial muscle. If they are in the forefront, in that case, the changes will work. If they have the mindset to be a corporate citizen and earn profits sustainably, then we can see this change. Otherwise, I'm afraid that we're in for a very, very long haul. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Masood. That was a very cool, outstanding way of talking about what your company and the companies that you previously worked for have done. And I think your last comment is accurate, that we're still chasing the fire with the little can of water. Huh? And I would love Lorraine to reflect briefly on your elaboration on the actions and measures that you are already taking. Lorraine, could you briefly reflect on Masood's statements here?
Yeah, hi. And I follow Unilever. I followed Unilever for absolute ages. Now, the sad thing is a lot of this could have been done 30 years ago. But they're making huge strides. And, they were very proactive in the RSPO standards for palm oil. It's a bit of a conflict of interest because they sit on the board of the people that are managing what we call dirty palm oil that's farmed illegally. But at least they're there. They've just got to tighten up some of the standards because some of them are a bit sort of wishy-washy and they're not very clear, but people are doing something. And we've got a lovely example of you have to look at profit, not greed. Profit. There's a big difference. And we've got a lovely story in, I think it's Uganda, where the forest, those beautiful, deep, deep, dark forests where the gorillas are, was being destroyed. And the gorillas were being shot. And they decided to try and find out why, who was doing this. And it was coffee farmers who weren't making enough money. So what they've done, they've turned these thieves, these people that killed these gorillas are now the guardians of the gorillas. They've realized the value of keeping them and the value of tourism, and they've helped them do sustainable coffee farming. So they're making a profit with their farming, and the gorillas are protected by the very people who used to kill them. So as you were saying, Masood, you've got to step right back and look at the whole picture. You can look at the local community that's involved, the companies that are there, who's impacting who and who needs what, and then come to a compromise. This business about, that's one of the big shifts we're going to have to, the big profit and the big billionaires. There's got to be a better balance, and that's where a lot of the problem comes from. But well done. I love the stories of good news. I love good news stories. They make my day.
Yeah, thank you, Lorraine, for your positive feedback. And we all know that also I was back in the days, I was demonstrating against the big corporates that were not aware on the sustainable measurements that they had to do. But I'm so happy to hear that you, with Unilever, are working on it. And I'm so curious with Aamir, because you are based in Malaysia at this time with your company that you work for. How can you reflect on your day-to-day business with these topics of sustainable and environment challenge that we are facing as a globe, because it's a global thing? How can you reflect on your daily day-to-day activities?
Masood Khan sir, I think you want to leave, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
1 minute, Aamir. Yeah, Masood, you have to go?
So please feel free.
I was just sending a message actually, in fact, saying that I need to leave because I've got everything coming up.
Yeah, I know. So thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice evening. Bye.
Good evening, all of you.
Thank you. Okay, Aamir, so what could you say? I'm not sure if you're muted because when you spoke, we couldn't hear you, but.
So actually I was not talking because I don't have the words to talk. Yeah, so okay. So let's try, I'm not going on the company profiling and what we are doing and the numbers, what we have, our guest has already mentioned about that. So let's talk about on the caring. So when you, I have already heard about Lorraine and Masood, the word I touch with the care. So whenever, what are you doing the work? It's your personal work or business or any activity. So if you are taking care something, you will be already going on the sustainability. So sustainability, I will be equalized with the care. I can recall one of the word is when I was in 8th grade or 9th grade, I heard about ozone layer. So my teacher said it's a big bubbles around us, and will be hiding us from the ultraviolet rays and some other things. Okay. And then we heard about that 1985 and 87, it has been some regulation has been signed off, and it will be from 1995, there's some chlorofluorocarbon gas freon gases. So we have ending the producing of this gas. But I was thinking how it has been started. So maybe we can link with this topic again. So it has been started, I think the guy name is Thomas Midgley Jr. So he has done a fantastic 2 initiatives. The one, he put lead in petrol. Thank you very much for Thomas. He has putting the lead in the petrol, and then after that we have seen a lot of problem because of the lead environment is going on, and we have reduced this lead. But that time they have already done. The second one, because he was very famous, so the people has already asked him to resolve this issue. You remember the refrigeration gases. That time was very toxic. And people are died at home because of the gases has been leaked and someone has inhaled, and this because of toxic gas has been died. So ask him to give the solution. So apparently in 3 days he has given the solution. What was the solution? This is CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. So, and he has demonstrated in American Chemical Association annual function. He healed this gas, chlorofluorocarbon, and he hold for 30 seconds and blow the candle and say it's not toxic. Okay, and it has been started. And this was very famous, and that's all gone. And then we heard about it. Oh, this is the one solution has been resolved, but the other is a problem, which is ozone layer. So now it is infecting. Okay. And then, yes, of course, in the mid of 90s, now this has already been gone, and we say, oh, now chlorofluorocarbon we not required and we need to reduce. So again, what business we are doing, we must need to make sure what be the end result. Sometimes it is unintentional and sometimes is intentional. That's Lorraine has also mentioned. We must not be a greedy people. The business must not be greedy people. We must have the profit by the sustainability. Because the all systems to me is interlinked. If you hit one system, it will impact on the other way, the other side. For example, because I am a transport guy, so let me give you my transport example. When the traffic jam, I give you example which I know the countries Mexico, even India and Philippines. What they have decided because of the air pollution and traffic jam, you cannot run the same number plate vehicle on every day. For example, A, B, C, 1 to 9. If your number is started with A, so you can run on Monday. If your number plate have the B, so you can run on the Tuesday. What people has done? The people has bought the other cars, second-hand cars. And this second-hand cars, because there's not fitness, the tuning is not there and everything is not there, it exhausting more gases to air. And the air pollution has been increased, not decreased. But the government has taken the decision, but second-hand, it has already been reduced. So the net effect is not there. Same like in Europe, if you remember the fuel. So because the fuel, we don't want to use the coal and some other stuff. So we have started the biofuel. So what impact happened? So the biofuel is producing by the corns and some other crops. So the farmers who are producing the different type of food, which is going to the other countries and all Europe, they have started to produce more corns because it's more expensive to make a biofuel as compared to give to the poor people in the Africa and some other places, and the shortage is there for the foods. So again is the net balancing. So one ecosystem you will be maybe managed, but the second ecosystem will be disturbed. So the net effect, we need to make sure it will be there, and we must have the good intention on that. So our company is also doing the same. I'm not showing the numbers, but we are really working on it because we are making the industrial gases. We are producing the oxygen, nitrogen, argon, and different type of gases in all over the world. So we are very particular on CSR, which they mentioned about that. And also, we are also working on the water quality and the transport, because we have the big vehicles and many vehicles, which is transporting gases from our plants to the customer side. So how it is improving, for example, what type of vehicle we need to use. We can buy this the vehicle which exhausting the lot of gases, but it's cheaper. But we can buy the Euro 5 and Euro 6 engine type of vehicle, which is exhausting the less gases, and it is good for the environment. So it's depend upon you. But because of the good company and you have this belongs to CSR, so you need to make sure not only the profit, we need to make sure we also have the good environment, because we are again getting the gases from the air to produce the oxygen. So we need to net balance of all the gases. Yeah. So I think time is short. Otherwise, I have the long list to discuss maybe after that. Yeah.
This is amazing how good you are prepared, Aamir. This is nice because we have a high quality session going on here. I think there's a lot of information. And if I look at the comments in the chat, there's so many cool answers. And at first, Lorraine, they were like so enthusiastic on your presentation. There were so many positive results, and you will see them. Remarks are like, this is life-changing. This session, we need to know more. We need to learn more. So it was really inspiring. One of the, informative. There was a question. I would love to put it there to Lorraine to answer. The question is, how can ecofeminism have an impact in terms of Bangladesh, and how? Now, I know what feminism is, but what is ecofeminism? Can you tell me a bit about that, Lorraine, or have you heard about it? I love the word ecofeminism.
It's a new word. Yeah.
We have Yobaida Begum. She made a new word. So
maybe she can explain again in the wording in the question.
Maybe she can come. Maybe Yobaida, you can come into the comments and tell us what is ecofeminism, because this generation of people doesn't know. Yeah. Oh, Manoshi. Oh, I'm sorry. Manoshi, you asked it. Manoshi Buyan. So Manoshi, come on the line, please, and tell us what is ecofeminism.
You'll find women are more attuned or more sensitive to environmental issues. I mean, look at how they've coped with the COVID-19. All the countries that have female presidents have done really, really well. And it's not that somebody's good and somebody's bad. We did a big study on the psychology of persuasion. Some people just don't react. People like Trump, when they do a brain scan of a narcissist or a psychopath, and you show some horrible scene, their brain doesn't react. It's not like they're horrible. Their brain just doesn't react. And right. I think men are more focused on what they need to do and what they're really good at, and women are maybe more sensitive. But I love her term. Is she going to answer us?
Not yet. I don't see it. But if she will, we'll pass it on. Ecofeminism. It's a very cool a new description, or I don't know, ecofeminism. I love it. But the thing that I noticed now in the group of leaders in the session that I attended and that I facilitated in the afternoon, there were so many women there. So I think maybe the women are getting more visible in Bangladesh. I'm also always lighting out the women. See, I was like inconveniently touched with your talk, and also I was that with the one of Al Gore. Do you talk with Al Gore, Lorraine? Do you meet with him, or do you talk to him?
We met with him. I I follow him on Facebook. I mean, he's such a busy man. He's got hundreds of thousands of followers. But of course, we met him. He did training in Johannesburg for 4 days. Very focused, very authentic. And I wish, the tragedy in America is partisanship. Unfortunately, Al Gore was a Democrat. And with the Republicans there, you're condemned. It doesn't matter what you say, what you do, what good deeds you've done. If you're a Democrat, that's it. And sadly, that was why they split, with the rednecks burning fossil fuels and putting down stairs and stuff. So very sad. Yeah.
Okay, so I was just wondering, because you're an authority on this topic, and so is he. So I thought maybe you had more connection. You're not just a woman from South Africa to me. So that's
No. I studied with him. He does training around the world. He did in Bangladesh, which is amazing. And it's intensive training. You have breakaway groups and proper brainstorming, and he shows you really millions and millions of graphs and slides and examples.
Wow.
And he researches the country before he comes, and he came and he warned us that, in the Cape, I don't know if any of you have been to Cape Town. In the Cape, we have a very, very unique ecosystem called fynbos, totally different. It's dying.
Wow.
It's dying. And our baobabs, he predicted that. Everybody laughed at him. And it's actually happening. And those beautiful baobab trees that look as though they're upside down, they're hundreds of years old. They're dying. So he's and they're so critical of him. They say he's got this big house with air conditioners. He has, but it's all renewable energy. They don't look at how he runs his.
Yeah, when people judge, they stop looking. That's the thing.
Yes, absolutely.
I have more info on ecofeminism. So ecofeminism is a branch of feminism that sees environmentalism and the relationship between women and the earth as a foundational to its analysis and practice. Ecofeminists thinkers draw on the concept of gender to analyze the relationships between humans and the natural world. Actually, that was your feeling already in this area, huh? So what does it do then? And have an impact in terms of Bangladesh, and how? What's your idea about that?
Well, the women must speak up. The women must speak up.
Yeah.
They're the ones that worry mostly about their children, and they mustn't be nice anymore. Women are too nice. Look at us. We smile 20 times more than the men do.
Yeah.
Because we want everybody to like us, and I'm too soft. I wish I was tough. We're tough in a different way. We're tough in a subtle way where we can do things subliminally and they don't even know we've done it.
Right.
But, they've actually got to stand up for their rights and for the future of their children. I almost didn't want my because I know it's too much. I didn't want my children to have babies. I was so worried about what they're going to inherit if we don't change things really quickly. But I do. I have a grandson that I'm not allowed to see with this damn lockdown.
Yeah. Well, I think we are going to a soft conclusion of this topic. And the soft conclusion, in my opinion, is that we have only just started seeing the disaster that we are living in, and that we are only touching the base of healing or making sure that it's not getting into the disaster. And I think it had the awareness. We have to be aware. So people like you have to speak up and tell us the inconvenient truth about our situation. You have to. I know you want to be friendly, but you have to tell it. You have to say it. And you inspire me a lot by doing it, and bring the awareness from an inconvenient truth, and then help us to see what we can do on a small scale in our own households, but also in the companies that we come, and in the industries that we provide by buying all the stuff that we need. We can never have enough of stuff that we don't need, and that's one of the issues and sicknesses, I think, of this lifetime that we have. And I'm taking responsibility as of now again. I'm buying glasses, and I know that these are They're not sustainable. I'll never throw them away, but
Oh, they're beautiful.
yeah, but I
They're
have
beautiful.
20, you know, I can only wear one. So we can never have enough of the stuff we don't really need. I only need one, but I'm fashionable, you know. Well, it's not about me. I want to thank you from my heart, Lorraine, to be here, that you have shared your ideas, and I applaud you for the accurateness and the information that you share. It's highly quality. So thank you so much. Aamir, thank you for coming in from Malaysia. And
Okay, I need a minute before you close.
yeah, I
need a
gave
minute.
it to you. I gave it to you. Relax.
Okay. Okay, sure.
This guy always needs minutes. Huh?
So he's presenting 3 or 4 shows, so it's not easy for me.
I know. He's my brother. I know what he's saying. But you don't worry, my dear. You will get your turn. But I was in the middle of thanking Aamir and his contribution to this topic, and hope to see you again, because I like the way you look at stuff. So thank you, Aamir. And then, of course, my brother Kormo, you have the last minute. So after I have said thank you for the opportunity to moderate this very interesting session, I will give it to you for closing.
And definitely, thank you so much. Before we close, so can we have, like, tomorrow, what's coming up? Let's have a little glimpse. So tomorrow, very important sessions about, youth engagement and youth opportunities in Bangladesh, and also community work. So the phenomenal speaker is coming up. So if we can have the tomorrow's program promo. Meanwhile, correct, go for it, please. It's 3 jam-packed session tomorrow. If you want to build your finance as a profession, as a career, watch out. 5 p.m. The CFA Chartered President from Thailand, 25 plus years of experience globally. He's presenting keynote. And then one of a country's youngest CFO, chartered accountant, cost accountant, and certified financial analyst is coming up for the financial as a career. And then the second session is all about the leadership, where one of the Harvard instructor, where I have been into the program, right? She's coming up. Madeline McNeil is coming up. Ian Roberts is coming up. Ineke Hurkmans is there, and also Ranjan De Silva. If you really want to know the leadership excellence, that's the program to watch out. I think the panelists, you just think about it. Ineke, Ranjan, from Harvard, and Ian Roberts. I think it's all about more than 120 years of experience these 4 people is actually carrying on the shoulder globally, from Harvard professor to Europe to America to Asia. And then the last session is our country's the highest, number 1 influencer for the social activist. Everyone knows Arifat Hussain is coming up. And the first daily Prothom Alo, the youth activist, Mr. Munir Hassan, along with our youth outreach partner, Youth Opportunities, Osama bin Osama, he's also coming up. So the loads of sessions tomorrow. I think I would recommend everyone to watch for it tomorrow. And the 3 p.m. session, coming up, the orientation program with Mahmouda Chaudhary, who is now the advisor of ours, and also working as an advisor for Red Cross and Red Crescent Society for international communication. She's going to speak on the inaugural session at 3:30 p.m. So tomorrow, that's all about. Now, we got some award and recognition. So first, I want to have the quiz on screen. So for the first 10 respondents, will have the quiz master badge and certificate. Can we have the quiz? What you need to do is just respond A, B, C, D, and then you get the certificate. Which of the following gases does not trap heat? You got 10 seconds to answer and respond, and the fastest 10 respondents get the quiz master competition and championships. And A, B, C, D. Here just A, B, C, D. If you're not sure, once type A, second type B, and then third C, and then D. One will be correct.
Is that the way you get your exam?
So all right. So A, B, C, D. So either don't be.
Good
There
hint.
is no. Yeah. So, but try. But don't leave it. Okay. Fantastic. Keep hitting. Keep hitting. A, B, C, D. All right. We are actually giving up a couple of award. If you know, that is the super achiever leadership, super achiever, knowledge seeker. First, I talk the knowledge seeker. Those who are watching the sessions and submitting the summary for 10 sessions, they get a book for life-changing book like Think and Grow Rich, those type of book, a certificate, a crest. If you're champion on submitting the session summary, you get 5 books, you get championship certificate, you get champion crest. And you know what? I will coach you for 1 habit building sessions. And that's not all. First, second, third, 5, 4, 3 books. All of you are coming with me live. I'm going to introduce you big time to the nation that you are actually the super achiever knowledge seeker. Hey, do you want to achieve for that? Type yes and comment below. We're looking forward to have super achiever. And from there, we're going to select our ambassador, regional leader, interns, so many things. If you want to become super achiever leadership, just invite 1,000 people, register and invite them to watch this free life-changing sessions. I think you would agree that 80 plus world-class speakers from all over the world, you have to pay loads of money if you really go for, and listen to them. But it's brought to you free. This is the highest thing. This is the best thing we could do for you. And what you could do is simply just share it and invite your friends and register them. Nothing. It doesn't take anything much from out of your pocket. But please do that. You get a certificate, book, crest, and same thing. 5 books for the champion, 4 books for the runner-up, 3 books for the third place, and you get Facebook Live, and also you get 1 coaching session. That's all for giving away to our students, and we're going to select the top performer to become intern, regional leader, ambassadors, and we're going to invite them to join Train of the Trainer programs. And of course, Ineke's program coming up next 2 days in September, 2 days long program and 2 months of coaching. Those are going to super perform as a regional leader. That's on. I'm going to going back to Ineke, please close it. That's what I wanted to announce it.
Okay, thank you, Kamrul. That was extensive. So the people in the audience, you are on, right? So thank you so much. I wish us all to take care for ourselves and our environment. And I thank you, Lorraine, so much for being here. Thank you, Aamir, for being here. And thank you, Kamrul.
Thank you.
Facilitating it. And thank you, team in the background, because these guys
Everyone.
are so
and of course the audience as well.
Yes.
All the audience, because if you were not there, the audience, we would have like a generation party going on. But so thank you guys that you came in massively, and keep coming because there's so much valuable information shared. So thank you so much, and I wish you a very, very good evening, everybody.
Happy to meet everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you,
Thank you,
Aamir.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ineke.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And Augmedix presents Next Gen Leadership Summit tonight closing. And thanks all the partners, sponsors, and strategic partners, and viewers, and contributors. A great pleasure to have all of you here. Thank you. Good night.